Y'all can walk through it, but just don't stand in front of these people.
So just a little bit of background about Cary. Cary's landed a place on Day's 100's list of 2019, and he's considered one of the most important artists of our time by Stam Radio. Cary has contributed his talents to work such as Solange's When I Get Home short film, the photography and direction for A$AP Rocky's Testing album. He's worked with Kanye West, with Vogue, The Fader, and he's also doing his own goods and services company called Timeless Goods, and he's done way much more than we can talk about today. So first off, Cary, how you doing? How are you doing today? And how have you been holding up during this whole like coronavirus crisis?
Well, today I'm doing fine. I actually woke up pretty late. Like I usually wake up at like 4 or 5, but I woke up around 8 or 9 today. Um, I feel good. Ever since coronavirus, I don't know, maybe a lot of people have thought I could have felt worried. I'll admit I was worried in the beginning. It's unusual. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. I mean, in January, we were all kind of just living our life and just our routines, and then this happened. So I mean, I'll admit, like for the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I felt stuck. I didn't know what was going on. But slowly, I, I guess I saw myself thriving a little more than before this all happened, and I feel like I'm doing a lot more. I feel like this kind of um, this uncertainty kind of is a call to action to figure out what we're gonna do while we have all this time. So um, I'd say it's been a curse and a blessing.
So like what were your plans before if you had any all this madness happen? Like
So before in January, I was actually living in Florence, Italy. I was trying to find my way out there. I had a mentor out there who I was kind of learning the ropes as far as the fine arts world, and also showing my chairs are people chair stacking practice to that world out there. And during my time out there, I landed a job with the dean of Polimoda, which is one of Florence's and Italy's top art and design schools, universities, and they offered me a teaching position to be out there for at least another month or two. And so that was my plan before COVID hit, and then all of a sudden this happened. But I think I had that lined up. That was going to be kind of like a career move for me. I was looking forward to the challenge, and then I was going to start um, a live Chairs Are People stacking tour starting in Florence, Italy, and I had my first like venue booked, and I was going to go to France afterwards, and then all this happened.
right, right. And we're going to dive into a little bit more of that starting with the discussion. So tell us about Chairs Are People and what started the project.
So the project, it started it started 2 years ago. Um, at that time, no, yeah, it started last year. Actually, it started last year. At that time, I was kind of burning out of the current industry. As a photographer, I felt that it was oversaturated, and as far as Black photographers go, I felt like there was only one spotlight. So I burned out, working so hard and just feeling like you're climbing this ladder to infinity. Like, at some point, like I was just kind of over it. So at at that moment, I was like, well, what can I do to, what can I do? How can I change this pace? And literally, I was talking to myself. I said, maybe I can start stacking chairs. Maybe I can make that a thing. And with all kind of new, fresh ideas, like you have to just keep doing it until people see it. And ever since I started thinking about it, I've been doing it since last year, and it's kind of like worldwide, honestly.
Right. And so can you tell us some of the places you've held exhibits for like Chairs Are People?
Yeah, so my first exhibition was in Japan, Takeo, and I didn't have the plan to stack chairs. This was a spontaneous idea when I got to the studio. I knew when I went to this residency that I did not want to show or primarily focus on my photography. I was also picking up writing at the time, so that was another medium I wanted to showcase. But as soon as I got to the studio in Japan, I saw the chairs in the studio, and the first question, like this was as soon as I got to the city from the airplane, right after I got settled down, like the first question I asked was, "Can I stack those chairs for my show?" And they looked at me with such a puzzled reaction, and they said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, well, yeah, why not?" And so that was like I had a whole month to just kind of live in Japan and write, and I spent days and weeks just stacking chairs, and I mean, I have it all documented. I made a chair stacking instructional guide based on that exhibition. And after that, it kind of gave me the belief that this was an idea that I could carry on. And so I submitted it to, or Numero Venti, an Italian residency, reached out to me, and they asked for me to bring this idea out to them. And that was the next exhibition I had. And another successful exhibit. I could say that Florence is like my third home. Japan's my second home. Um, and after that experience, it really gave me the perspective that this is something that people enjoy. This is something that people also question and also are curious about. And this is something that I should continue to show. And then after that, I did something in Houston. And before that even happened, um, I was doing a campaign for a project in Canada. And me and the team, there's a new museum over here in Houston that was recently built, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't know, I thought the property was very cool for stacking. And being on that, they didn't want anyone on that property to do anything. Like this was the museum's property. So I was doing it anyways. I was stacking the chairs. They wanted to bring someone out to see if it was okay, and I still did it. It didn't matter. I just kept doing it. And then maybe like 2 or 3 days later, I get a call from the staff, and they asked me to come in. And the first thing they say to me when I sit down in that chair was, "You know, you weren't supposed to be on our property doing that, but because you did that is the reason why you're sitting here. We'd like to engage in a partnership with you with Chairs Are People." And so like that happened. And then I had an exhibition with the Museum of Fine Arts and did a front window install with Art Encounters. It's a program that they newly released, I believe, last year, and they chose me as like one of the artists for the program. And then I had that followed to the Nines Sites exhibition, which got canceled because of COVID. But that's the video you guys saw. That was the kind of preparations for that sculpture before everything happened.
Okay. So I know that you just mentioned you consider Florence your second home or Japan your second home and interchangeable second and third. So tell us about some of those experiences in each country for you that kind of like made you feel like it was home.
Okay, man, I love this question because I love talking about Japan. I tell everyone that asks me about Japan, because I'm currently like engaged in studying the culture. I tell everyone that I've left my soul there. A piece of me is there that's always going to wait for me until I come back. I believe Japan is a place where I'm supposed to live and die and settle. And I mean, out of the 3 times that I've been there, and I did this last year, no, 2 years ago. Um, I mean, I felt the safest. Um, I felt the most honest and purest. I felt like I can really just be. And Japan brought that out. I would recommend anyone to go to Japan. I would say start in the rural areas if you really want the most authentic experience. I've never been to Tokyo yet, so that's next on my list. Um, I don't want to keep going off on Japan, so let's go to Florence. Florence is a beautiful, beautiful city. Everything is within 25, 30 minutes walking distance. You can't get lost. The food is fresh, it's great, it's cheap. You can eat good every day out there. What's good about Florence is you're surrounded by art, so you're always inspired. Um, what's interesting, like an interesting kind of thing that I noticed out there is in Florence, when you wake up around 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., that's when everything pretty much shuts down. That's when people go on lunch. And probably 2 to 3/4 of the population is going to have what's it called? It's a sandwich. It's a popular sandwich. Panini, a panini. There's like there's like a strip. There's 3 stores. There's this one famous store, and then there's 2 stores on the left, and it's just the whole block is filled with people with paninis waiting in line, eating them, and that's like an everyday thing. And that, I mean, you see people sitting on the sidewalks, you see people reading books with it. So just ideally, like the simplicity and people watching and enjoying that like ambiance is very nourishing.
Good question. Which one would you move to first?
Man,
Japan or
Japan,
Florence?
Japan,
Okay.
Japan. I'm in Japan.
And why? Why?
Uh, well, I'm studying the language. I've been studying for over a year. Japan, I feel like there's a lot of detail that's very much appreciated. Not saying that Italy's not that way. It's just Japan. There's so much simplicity involved with Japan that is so inspiring and intriguing that just it's very like it's loving. It's just very authentic. That's it. And the food is just tremendous. Like the food is amazing.
Okay. Where would you like to expand your exhibitions post?
Well, I I didn't say this at all yesterday, but I also was gonna be in Japan all of May for another exhibition. So that was originally I was gonna do another full-on Chairs Are People exhibit in Fukuoka, Japan. Um, and then, like I said before, the live performance in Florence.
You told us about your chair in production. Do you want to discuss a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So right now I have, well, since COVID, I've been working on my first design for a chair. And right now today I just spoke with the lady who I've been working with on like the 3D kind of rendering and all that and the design. She's located in Montreal. Her name is Tanya. Um, by maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'll have the first design here at my spot. I'll have the frame. Um, the design just came from me tampering with pipe cleaner for about 10 minutes. Um, I can tell you guys that this chair could be an original design. I believe that this chair is meant for a temporary setting, a luncheon, a brunch diner kind of setting, maybe like a temporary reading or study. Um, I don't believe this chair accomplishes comfort, but I think it does accomplish aesthetic. And it's lastly, because I don't have a name for the chair yet. I think this chair, well, no, not, I think this chair is a production of my inspiration towards 2 of my favorite designs that I own. So I kind of fused what I like about these 2 designs and made this one chair. So when I get it, I'll be posting photos. But it's definitely, it's been a really, really great experience. I've learned a lot.
Will you be able to stack the chair?
Damn, that's a good question.
You don't have to answer it. It's a
No, no, no. I'm gonna
we'll
think
see
about
it
it.
and we'll be like,
I think you can. I think you're gonna be able to. I think you're gonna be able to. Yeah,
okay, cool.
maybe unconventionally, but I don't think upright. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to your puzzles. I know with Time Was Good, you have some puzzles, and you were talking to us about it yesterday. How Vogue Germany reached out to you about it. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I've been doing puzzles for 2 years, and um, it's been a journey. I think they're picking up now because people are quarantined and they're at home and they're trying to find things to do. Um, but in the last 2 months, the meaning and the message behind timeless goods has changed dramatically, and it's been something new that I've been passionate about. And um, you know, shit, 3 days ago, Vogue Germany reached out, and I think based because we got featured in Black Owned Everything. I believe it's a platform that's based in LA, and they got shouted out by Beyonce, and then they reached out to us, and I guess by a photo, like a lot of people saw that. So now we've been getting a lot of attention, and I mean it's been good because with COVID and everything, like I'm really kind of just sitting at home, and but when I was feeling stuck, I was hoping to be busy and to like feel like going to work and doing something. So this gives me that sense of energy of feeling like I'm working on something, working towards something that has a good message, and I feel good about it. I think you all should check it out.
Isn't the piece in the back a puzzle?
Yeah, so this one right up here is a puzzle piece. It's 500 pieces. If you want, we can do the puzzle for you and frame it, and we'll mail it to you. So again, check it out. Check the website out.
Outside of the scope of what we've been talking about, which is shares of people and your timeless goods, services, and goods company, what other upcoming projects are you currently working on?
So right now, I've been working a lot on my writing. I have I'm working on a book, a poetic book. Well, not really a poetic book. It's just a book of words that I've been collecting since COVID, that I just want to release to the public. This is kind of the first piece that I've done, so I just want to see how what people think about it. And then I've also been asked to write for a publication for Aperture, I believe, and I'm going to be doing a series of poems. So writing is again something that I've been very into, passionate about, and I want to continue sharing that. And then also, um, I'm working a lot on music. I just recently picked up a synthesizer, and the goal for music is to ideally score my exhibitions, score videos, score music for people. Um, it's just a hobby right now. Nothing I want to take too serious. Just something I'm having fun with.
Who would you want to score for? Like create a score for?
Right now, anyone that's trying to create a video, like any artist that's trying to create a video that's like something that I would enjoy. And really any video, I think, because I have no territory on this, so I think any pitch would be a challenge. I've worked with one person before, and I think I think COVID kind of got us out of touch. So um, whenever whoever wants to do something, like I'm open to it.
Last question on scores. Do you have a favorite score currently?
Yeah, I do. It's it's I have two. I gotta figure out the other name of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Score is amazing. And then this other one, let me look it up because it's gonna bother me. You, I, let's, let's see. Okay, I may not find it, but damn, it's gonna bother me so much now. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna waste. I'm gonna find it and
It's
I'm gonna
okay.
link everyone. Damn, I hate doing that.
It's okay. We're gonna move into like the poll because we took a poll at the beginning to see what other projects and stuff the audience would want to talk about. So Ryan, you have that information?
Yes. So the winner, well, not the winner, but the most answered was people want to hear about your work with artists such as Solange, ASAP Rocky, etc. So if you just want to go off on that.
Which one first?
Either
Let's-
one.
Yeah.
Either one. Okay. I'll start with Solange. So like just generally like with when I get home or
I mean, when I get home, or you can do any other projects that you did. Because I know that didn't you do the? Isn't there something else like an opera
I
one
did
or
so
was something
I
else?
did man, I did a lot of things. So with her, I did the German.
Right, right. So anyone that you think is most interesting or something that people want.
I'll talk about when I get home. I think that's kind of the most relevant, the most that experience was beautiful. I'll tell you how it started. Before this idea was brought out to the public, Solange and I had a dinner. This was in July. This is on my birthday, actually, around my birthday. We went out to eat in downtown and sat down for drinks. We both don't really drink. And we were just having a conversation and she was just straight up, Cary, like, I want to bring you on for this project. Started telling me about the album, started telling me about what she had in mind for it, the inspiration. And actually, after that outing, we went to the museum, that property, and we kind of chilled out there and just took photos and talked. And I asked her like, why do you want to bring me on board? And she just told me we have synergy. So ever since then, like for that whole experience, I was on staff working with the team, with visuals and behind the scenes video and photography. And with any experience with Solange, she creates a world that allows you to be free, allows you to create and to just be authentic with. And even if you do make a mistake, because I've made mistakes in her world, and she's very accepting. She's very, 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 very mindful. She's very authentic. She's very, very caring. So, you know, in her world, you're always destined to do great. You're always inspired. You always leave feeling good. So anytime I work with Solange, it's a good experience. She makes me work as hard as hell. So with ASAP Rocky, um, the way he and I kind of work together, I worked with an artist by the name of Jazz Cartier for Red Bull about 3 years ago, and Matthew Henson is Rocky's main stylist, so he was on set for that project. And I believe through word of mouth, after the shoot with Jazz, they kind of said, y'all should shoot together. So I think that's how it happened. I got a call from Rocky and simple conversation. Hey, I want to work with you. I really love your work. I respect your craft. I admire you. Very honest man. Um, you know, next month we started working together, and like even with him, like same experience. He creates a world that allows you to just create, to just be. There's no pressure. There's no sense of urgency. No, well, I wouldn't say no sense of urgency. There are deadlines and there is an ethic, but there's no pressure um, to create. You can just create. That's the thing. And again, like with the whole album testing cover, that was something that my team and I came up with, from the lighting, from the positioning. This is something we spent all day doing. The crazy thing is by the third time, like I was about to call it quits, but something in me said we had to go one more time, and that's the shot that you see on the album cover. And I mean, I'm proud of them to this day. Like, I love them all.
The second most voted one was your residency in Japan.
Yeah. So Takeo. So it's this residency called Arts Itoya. Um, when I applied to this, I again felt very stuck. In Houston, there's not a lot of opportunity like New York or LA. So I needed to travel. I felt like I needed to get out of here. And I said, man, let me just go to Japan. So I bought a ticket to Japan and found this residency. And as soon as I bought the ticket, because I bought a one-way, I said, I guess I gotta go now. I didn't buy insurance for the ticket. I made myself go. And it was the best decision I've ever made, best risk I've ever taken. I went alone for a month. And it's something always when you travel alone where you really are with yourself, and you slowly learn something about yourself in that experience. And Japan brought that out of me. When I say I left my soul, but I also tell people that I became a deer out there. I always consider myself as a wolf, always hidden, always kind of mysterious. But in Japan, I kind of came out of that shadow. In Deer Park specifically, you can feed the deer. And I've never been to that part, but when I went there for the first time, it was snowing and I was feeding the deer. So I felt like I was giving to nature. I felt like I was coming out of the shadows and I was being vulnerable and I was giving back to nature. So nature gave back to me. And this is what I became, a deer. And so like the image you see, the deer reborn, that's a representation of my interaction with nature, my exchange. And Japan gives you those experience where you get to talk out loud to yourself and like really enjoy that conversation.
Timeless goods.
So ideally, timeless goods. Um, this is the name is inspired just by playing video games. I play a lot of RPG games. So like one day I was like, what do you like when you defeat enemies on the game, you pick up something, you loot something from their body. So I was like, well, what would you loot from something? What if you looted a timeless good? What would that be? And that question inspired this whole brand. And Timeless Goods is a brand that carries items that are timeless. That like, for example, a puzzle. A puzzle is timeless. We've all had an experience with a puzzle, and we can still have one today. There's no date on a puzzle. Eventually, Timeless Goods is going to start selling chairs and furniture, which I am selling chairs now, but it's not something that I've highly promoted yet. But ideally, items that are timeless is what this brand is going to carry. I had plans on having a storefront before COVID, but eventually that'll come in the future. Maybe it's not the time right now. For the message, Timeless Goods is, with the puzzles especially, we want you to disconnect. We want you to get off of your phone. We want you to get off the Twitter, the Instagram, the computer, and truly spend an hour or two with yourself doing a puzzle. Because especially with times like now, we need that time with ourselves. So truly disconnect challenge. If you go on the website, you see the information about the disconnect challenge. But just recently with Timeless Goods and my background with computer science, I'll be graduating next year probably. We just recently did research, and Black Girls Codes is our primary donator for Timeless Goods. So every month with our puzzle sales, if you buy a puzzle percentage is going to Black Girls Codes, and we made our second donation, because we really been popping off for 2 months now. So it's amazing. Donating is great, and we just did this thing for, there's 2 puzzles on there, B and Blues, the girl with the blue face, and then the girl in the red latex. If you buy their puzzles, you're donating specifically to them. So you're helping out their journey, and you'll see if you go on their puzzles, you'll have a read more link, and you'll read about their story. So really take the time out to read their messages, our message. Again, it's something I'm passionate about.
It's beautiful. And I think the last thing on the poll was bloom butterflies.
Yeah, I'll talk briefly about that. Bloom Butterflies is inspired by a shoot I did in 2018, with two men that I'm still in touch with. Very beautiful, like, men who I met them 2018, beginning of 2018, when honestly we were all in our cocoons, and at that time I got my first studio, and I just met them, and they're very creative, like, individuals, and so I just opened up my space to them. I said, come by. For a year we created projects together and worked together, and it's something when you're with someone and you see them bloom, and you see them grow and evolve, and that's what I saw from both of them. And so that's clearly what it means, bloom butterfly. I got to see 2 men bloom and become butterflies, and now, like, one of them's signed and he goes back and forth to Spain to model, and the other one's living in New York, and he's doing, like, a lot of creative projects out there. So they've kind of just left. They started in Houston, and so they've kind of just, like, flew out. They're gone. So
They bloomed.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome. So this will lead us into our Q&A. So anybody has any questions? I know we have one from Rachel.
Yeah.
He said, what are Cary's favorite music videos and favorite old school music video?
Okay, let me see. I got a little playlist on my YouTube. Hold on. I honestly have been watching Radiohead's Jigsaw and the Falling into Place video a lot. I know that's not, like, old school, but actually it kind of is, because it's an old album, but that's something I really like. What else? I don't really watch a lot of videos. I said I really like, there's this live video of Pharrell making a beat that I watch a lot. There's this, I can just send you links of what I watch on YouTube, like, every day if you want, Rachel. Any ODB music video.
We can make like a Cary Fagan video playlist on the Black Planet channel.
Yeah, I got a whole list I can share.
Just slap it on there.
Any other? Oh, we got another question, I think. Can you talk about
Yeah.
the role of education on your path as an artist? Yeah, I can do that. So that's gonna start with the polymota opportunity. So the dean called me into the office he offered me a position to speak, to teach a semester of art and photography, business and art direction. And I was going to be teaching 8-hour lectures twice a week to first and second semester students. And that's it. I was going to have a studio to work in. I was going to have a classroom to work in for each day. And I mean, I'll be honest, I was really nervous about it, but I was ready for the challenge.
Okay, so the next question is, what's your favorite medium to work with?
Since I've been in quarantine, my favorite medium, because I actually just did my first photo shoot 2 days ago in, like, 3 months. So right now, my current medium that I enjoy working with is, I say, clay, molding clay. I want to continue making objects with clay. Yeah.
What's the best way to seek out mentorship as a Black creative?
Mentorship. So I I mean, I feel like for you to meet or to have a mentor, you need to meet him in a setting that kind of draws you back. So, for example, I just recently got a mentor at this furniture store, and I think the reason why is because I showed an interest in furniture design, and he came to me and he's been showing me the ropes. He's been teaching me on how to look for the right frames. He's been teaching me how to price things, how to build chairs and stuff. So I feel like you need to put yourself in settings and find people that have the knowledge and kind of build a relationship with them. I don't think it's something you have to ask. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. I think it's kind
Okay.
of I think it kind of naturally happens or connects.
Has any of the work you've done deeply resonated with you, and how far has your work taken you around the world?
Yeah. There's this project that I'm gonna release. It has not been seen by anyone at all for like years, and it means a lot to me. A friend of mine passed last year, and we've been just trying to figure out how to like we don't want to just show these images on Instagram or post them on Twitter because they're not just images; they mean a lot. So we got this exhibition over in Africa where we're going to be showing these images, and it's a portrait, it's a series about my friend who passed away recently, and it's going to resonate because these were the last images I that I that I took.
How do you know a project is finished?
Sometimes I don't know if a project is finished because I'll end up changing the finished project. So I never give myself the time of day to say that the project is finished. It's always something that's continuous or can change.
What is the role of diaspora in your work? Did you connect with Japanese people of African descent or the Caribbean? What role does your Texan background play in your work?
So in Japan, I really didn't see anyone else out there. I was the only one. So I would say the cool thing out there was well, personally, me, I'm a very open and accepting person. So I feel like when I went to Japan, I was able to really ingrain myself in the culture and intermingle with the people out there for them to kind of received me well. So I think there was a very great exchange. And also, I'm all about changing and altering perception. So I'm sure like me being the only African American in Takeo was something new for them, but I was also a warm energy for, maybe they may have never seen us before. So, I could have set that pace or that idea, you know, for them. Um, what was the other question? What is your role? So originally, that's a hard question. What is your role? What role does your text and background play in your work? You know what? Actually, that's not a hard question. I think being a Texan, we're always put in this box that, we're not from New York or LA, so, we don't really have anything to show. I feel as an artist that I've been always wanting to go against the grain, and being put in this box is something that is very, I enjoy it because it's unexpected. I love going to New York and people assume that I'm from there, or going to LA and assuming that I'm from another country or LA or New York. Um, I think as a Texan, we have an underdog energy that shows in our work. I think we also have a unity and a strength that's unspoken. I also believe though that the identity that we are building can often get lost. So that's why um, we're questioned.
Do you find balance in having multiple media? How do all your forms of media feed into each other and influence each other? And do you approach all the different types of work you do similarly or very differently?
I approach everything very differently. Um, Throughout the week, I'll plan one activity for the day that's new that I'll do for at least an hour or two. If you're gonna do something new and you really want to get into it, you'll at least do it for 1 or 2 hours a day to build that muscle memory, and that's all it takes. You don't have to. I do a lot of things at the house, but I don't spend every day doing these things, and that's where the balance is. Picking the right time, picking the right day to do these things, because yeah, you can burn out if you're doing it every day. And some days I don't want to create. I do nothing. I'll sit down and I'll play my video games, or I'll be outside going for walks because I don't feel like using my brain right now.
Okay, I think we'll wrap it up from here. Thanks everybody for joining, and thank you so much, Cary, for giving us your time to
Yeah.
discuss Choose Our People and many more projects.
Thank y'all for tuning in. That was cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. And thank you, Cary, for spilling the knowledge for the people. And
No problem, man. Y'all stay up there. Keep your head up. Keep the balance. Man, just chime in anytime. I'm normal. Y'all can reach out.